Geez, Gareth, fuck, what a conversation off the camera.
Yeah.
Mate, I've always been a huge fan of the Melbourne system.
Yeah.
But I remember when you were playing for Melbourne and how quickly you came on the scene, played a grand final, won a grand final. But I also remember the hip injury that you had. And that was before the grand final, right?
No, that was
After.
that was the following year before,
Following year.
but it was my last year before I'd signed for the Dragons.
Yeah.
So I was unsure if my career was going to continue after that. Plus, it was the World Cup as well, so that year was an extremely tough year for me.
Well, look, off the camera, we're just talking about, like, which is bloody interesting. You come to Australia at 16.
Yeah.
But originally, you guys were supposed to move to Noosa.
Yeah, that's right. We'd always sort of wanted to emigrate. Dad had always travelled a fair bit, and we were supposed to move to Noosa, like I said, just off camera before, and we'd visited a couple of years before, and what a beautiful place. And I was pretty excited, but at the same time, I'd got to that age, 16, turning 17, where you start going out a little bit more. Obviously, I didn't know no one in Australia as well at the time, so it would have made it super difficult. A long story short, Mum being a school teacher, we got a letter from the government about 6 months before saying you have to go to Melbourne for at least 2 years before then you can pack up and relocate. Obviously, it was a bit of a shock to us. We'd never been to Melbourne, and with myself wanting to progress in my rugby league career, we just presumed down there it'd be like the rest of Australia.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we got there and we realised there was pretty much no rugby league back then, and it was all AFL, so it was certainly very daunting. Like I said, me and Dad flew over. Dad bought a plot of land. We rented for a little while, and the family moved over in the December. But yeah, it was certainly very tough at that sort of age, moving to Melbourne.
When you obviously moved over from England, were you playing grade football there? Like, what was your football career, rugby league career?
I suppose it was quite. It was a big decision to move. I just turned 16. I was actually playing rugby union, but I had a couple of sort of offers when I was 16 to stay maybe on a scholarship. But being that young, I was always going to go with Mum and Dad and emigrate. And I thought, what a huge opportunity to go to Australia. Knew how big the game was out here. But like I said, we thought we were going up to Noosa, where Queensland's massive for rugby league, like New South Wales. We ended up in Melbourne, in Victoria, and to be honest, if I wouldn't have gone down to Victoria, I potentially wouldn't have had the career I've had, just for the fact of, you're going into the heartbeat of rugby league up in Queensland. So much talent up there, so many rugby players, whereas Melbourne, the pot wasn't really big of players to pick from, especially when the under-20s comp was starting. So, and back then I had to work extremely hard to get to where I was. I was pretty small when I was younger. Come over here seeing all these big Aussies and big Kiwis and Islanders, and I had to work extremely hard to get where I've got to today. So yeah, like I said, it was tough. It was challenging anyway, but it'll help me in my career.
So coming through the lower grades in Melbourne, like, how many teams are there playing in the local competition?
I think the game's grown a lot. Obviously they're a great club, and they've put a lot of energy and effort into making it a big game down there now. But I think when I came, I literally went on Google to find the nearest rugby team.
Yeah, wow.
I can't seem. I don't think there were more than 5 or 6. There wasn't a big pool to pick from. But literally, we went on Google and found the local rugby team and just turned up one evening. So that's how my sort of career in Australia pretty much kicked off. And then moving forward, that following year, the under-20s competition was called the Toyota Cup back then. I think the following year they'd introduced that. So I basically just played local football. From there, sort of got picked up, and it went on from there.
But with Melbourne, they had a feeder side from Queensland as well.
That's
right?
it. Yeah.
So the Toyota Cup that you would have been involved in would have been some Queenslanders, and how many people from Melbourne would that be?
Yeah, well, so this is where it was interesting. I think we were, our feeder club when I first joined for the first team was North Devils up in the Q Cup. for Melbourne, I was a bit of a freebie, if you like, because I was living with mum and dad. The rest of the team were either from New Zealand, Queensland, or New South Wales. So that helped a little bit. They didn't have to put me up in accommodation or anything like that. So, yeah, to them, I was a bit of a freebie. Come along and try, and with the sort of the upbringing I had through my parents and my goals and aspirations, I just went in there and worked as hard as I could, and I believe that's what got me through in the end.
So, everyone talks about the Melbourne system, pretty much like the Panther system now as well.
Yeah.
The Penrith system used to look at the Melbourne system and go, that's what we want to be able to create over here. What was those early days like? Because there was a lot of success that Melbourne were coming off, and obviously you had really early on. What was it like meeting Craig Bellamy for the first time and seeing how this great organisation was run?
Yeah, it was pretty daunting, to be honest. Like I said, an 18-year-old kid from the north of England stepping into an environment like that was, it was pretty nerve-wracking, to be honest, at first. But the moment I stepped in there, you could tell how good of a club they were. From the top, from the CEO through to Craig Bellamy, down to the players. Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk, Cam Smith, Ryan Hoffman, Greg Inglis. I could name so many. But the moment I walked in there, just what they demand, look, the ability they've got as a club to, no disrespect, but to turn your so-called not big-name players into players who go on to represent their state or country, but not only that, just turn them into a consistent player is unbelievable. And the amount of player turnover, because they are so successful, they've had over the years, but they just continues to work hard. And when you've got Craig Bellamy leading you at the helm, it's pretty cool, and it makes life a lot easier. But he just demands work ethic. He's a very simple sort of minded dude. You know your role, you know your job, no matter who you are. So from the outside looking in, when you sort of step back from the club, you can see why they're unbelievable. Like you said, the Panthers are on that journey now.
And when they, they always talk about, like, he just gives you a simple game plan to follow.
Yeah.
Like, how simple is it? Because how do these other teams get it so wrong? Like, don't they just say, hey, this is what I want you to do? What happens at other clubs that are so different?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think obviously it's not just Craig Bellamy. He's got good people around him, and obviously I know a lot have moved on in the past. Kevin Walters was there when I was there, Stephen Kearney. So it puts a good group of people around him. Obviously he's at the top there. Craig's main job really and focus was to drive the, as we call it, the 1%, the little things, the people that your general public might not see, and those little things, and that's those little things that when I sort of left Melbourne, I've probably noticed over the back end of my career is little things that would probably, maybe say you do a video session, something might slide by and probably not get raised, whereas there's just no excuses. There's just no excuses, and I think it's the finer detail, which I think probably a lot of teams are trying to do, but when Melbourne have been doing it for years and years, it's that finer detail that I think they're just a bit better. And like you can see with Penrith now, they're obviously replicating what Melbourne have done, and they're on that journey now.
Yeah. I was actually listening to this podcast the other day, and Wade Graham was interviewing someone from the Penrith organisation on how they pick their players. And what they said was, Ivan Cleary has this simple thing, we're going to go have a coffee and we're going to see if you're right for the club. So they're not looking at like the stature, the size or anything like that. When Craig Bellamy is bringing players in, I've heard the same thing.
Yeah, it is.
He sees, he's looking, do you have the attitude? Because, mate, it's going to be hard here. Does he have those conversations with people?
Yeah, definitely. Look, you could be the most talented bloke in the world, but if you don't have the right attitude or work ethic, or you're going to fit and buy into the Melbourne Storm culture, you're out the door. He definitely does his research. Obviously, got Frank Panisi down there. They just want you to be a good man, and that'll be first and foremost over, like I said before, talent. Obviously, you still got to have your talent. You want your talent, but yeah, there's always a conversation to be had before if this person is going to be right for the culture and the team.
You win the grand final, you play another season, you're absolutely killing it. You're one of those players. You actually remind me, like when I was looking at you, I'm going, geez, this guy looks like Cooper Cronk. You know what I mean? I don't know if you got it.
Better looking than
Yeah,
him, aren't I?
but you then, buddy, this the
Yeah,
you hit,
yeah. Dislocated hip
and then you're contracted to go
to the
to
Dragons.
the Dragons.
Yeah.
How was that recovery? And because that's not a normal injury.
Yeah, it was. Them last 2 years, obviously, they were great. We'd won the grand final, won the World Club Challenge, and I'd got to a stage in my career there where I'd been at Melbourne for about 5 or 6 years. You know, I was very fortunate as, like I said, 18, 19-year-old kid coming to a Melbourne Storm system where, you know, we played finals every year, and to learn off, like I said, some of the leaders there, it was just, for any young kid going into any organisation as a young kid wanting to be a good footballer, the Melbourne Storm is certainly the place where you'd want to start out. And I believe that if I would not have gone there, I don't think I'd gone on and had the career, because I learned so much as a young kid. I was very fortunate, blessed to be able to do that. But like I said, I've been there a couple of years, won the grand final, a couple of World Cup challenges, and I wanted to sort of progress in my rugby league career and wanted to take that next step in having a bit more of a leadership role. And that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, is to call Craig, say, look, I'm signing at the Dragons. It were a 4-year deal. But yeah, like I said, I'll never forget. I remember being stood on my balcony. I must have done about 20 paces up and down, going, what am I going to say? How am I going to tell him? Wow. But Craig being Craig, I got on the phone, explained the situation. I had 2 young kids at the time. My daughter was actually born on the motorway the night of the grand final.
Wow.
Her first daughter, sorry. So he had the conversation with Craig, and he said, listen, you played for Melbourne, you'll always be welcome back down in Melbourne. You've got to do what's right. You've got a young family now. Like, there's no dramas. So once I'd heard that, it was the biggest weight lifted off my shoulders. Yeah. But then, that following year, 2013, knowing it was my last year, playing away up at the Gold Coast, I dislocated my hip, and I don't want to feel that pain again. It was a tough one.
Was it a tough comeback, you know, going to a new club, going, fuck, am I going to be able to move the same? Am I going to be able to run the same?
Yeah, it was... it was pretty scary, to be honest. When it happened that quick, I just remember the sheer pain when it happened, and I couldn't move, and instantly... I remember when I was late, I ended up being laid on my side, and my mind told my leg to move, to roll, get comfy, and it wouldn't move, and I thought I was paralysed. I didn't know what the hell was going on. But we had Tony Ayub, who was our physio. He did a great job. He got me off the field eventually, and the only thing I remember is waking up in hospital the next morning, and they just sort of said to me, luckily we got back, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you don't get it back in with 4 hours, you can lose the blood flow to your leg, and potentially you can lose your leg.
Wow.
They call it a car crash incident. I think it's happened to 3 rugby league players in the past. It's not supposed to come out, basically. So I was worried. Like I said, I was young. I just signed a new deal. I was going to a club where I wanted to be a leader. I did guess myself a lot of times, think, am I going to come back from this? Am I going to be able to perform the way I've been performing the last couple of years? But I just think the people I had around me, like I said, at Melbourne, and the hard work and the discipline that had been instilled into me since I was a young kid, and then moving into the system when I was 18, is what helped me get through it. Moved to the Dragons and had a wonderful time at the Dragons, and had some good memories there, and managed to play on for another 8 or 9 years.
Yeah. So your first contract was 4 years at the Dragon. Who was the coach then? McGregor? Was it McGregor?
Yeah, so Steve Price. He was there. Unfortunately, I think he got moved on 2-3 games into the season. But I'd come to the Dragons. They were on a bit of a rebuild phase. After Wayne Bennett had left, they had so much success, and that was, like I said, a step for my rugby league career. I wanted to be a part of and be a leader and try implement like probably things I'd learned at Melbourne. So the first year or two we struggled, but I always say you've got to go out and test yourself, and it's a test of your character, and it was difficult. I'd come from Melbourne to go there, but after 3 or 4 years, we'd sort of recruited. Paul McGregor took over, recruited some, good international players, and we had a good crack at it at the Dragons. Unfortunately, a bit of injury at the back end of my time at the Dragons caused me a couple of issues, but I had a wonderful time at the Dragons. I love the place. My kids pretty much raised down there, so I actually just went down last week to have a walk around Wynn and that. It was pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, because I had Jason Nightingale here. Obviously, I had Trent, Jake. Obviously, Jason Nightingale is pretty close to everything that's happening there at the team at the moment. How hard is it, like when you go from something and an organisation that successful to go there where you go, fuck, maybe I know what they've got to implement, but I can't really make those calls.
Yeah, it was tough because you've become so used to what's you thinking is normal or what you think's right, and because you have been so successful, you think, well, this is the way it's done, and so then to go from that and the players I had around to go into a team that's probably struggling a little bit, probably doesn't have as many senior players, and it was difficult. It becomes very frustrating, but that's part of being, I suppose, a leader and having an opinion and having a voice. And like I said, the first couple of years were pretty tough, but as the years went on, things don't happen overnight. I believe we implemented some things from my time at Melbourne, which certainly did help. So yeah, it was frustrating, it was hard, but that was just part of the job at the time, and it's a learning curve.
Yeah, and so you're playing for the Dragons. You're getting a few injuries towards the end of your career. What kind of made you want to go back to England again? Your parents are living here.
Yeah.
Did you think you were going to go back to England towards the end of your career?
Yeah. Look, I probably had it my whole career. Born and raised in England, all I ever wanted to do was play in the Super League.
Yeah.
It's just what I wanted to do as a young kid. Obviously, I always used to watch the NRL, and I'd been at the Dragons for 5 or 6 years, I think it was, and 2018 when we were flying, I dislocated my shoulder. Look, touchwood, I'd been pretty lucky in my career, apart from the hip, which I come back from. Up until that stage when I was 30-year-old, I'd done well with injury. Dislocated my shoulder up at ANZ against Parramatta. Went for scans. Yeah, I needed to have shoulder surgery, but we were flying that year and we were playing finals, and obviously I didn't want to work that hard for 4 or 5 years just to get to the finals. I did rehab, I think it was about 4 or 5 weeks before the semi-finals, so I just rehabbed it. I felt really good, strong, was disciplined, getting back, fit, so I was ready to play, and we ended up playing Brisbane away up at Suncorp. Everyone was going to write us off, 50,000 people there, because we had a bit of a fall off at the back end of that year. Like I said, went up there, we put an absolute clinic on. I think we ended up beating them 40 points to 4 or something, but with about 10-15 minutes to go, I remember we stood at a scrum code in Nicarima, I think skipped him outside, Avdov, bang, shoulder out again, so there were 2 dislocations in the space of 5 or 6 weeks. And there were no option then. My season were done.
And you were going really good that season.
Yeah, really good, yeah. My season were done. I had to go and get surgery. We went through to the following week. I think then we lost. Did we lose in Golden Point? I can't remember. But we lost Tarek Sims. I think we lost Paul Vaughan. So the timing couldn't have been any worse for us. All our senior boys sort of ended up getting injured and out for the season. So that were pretty tough. And then 2019 obviously came around, and like I said, I always wanted to go back home and play, and I thought, I've just had 2 shoulder recos, 2 shoulder dislocations. I'm 31 now. If I don't go now, will I ever go back to England? It's something that I just always want to do. Would I regret if I didn't go back to England? 2019 comes around, did the whole pre-season after my shoulder surgery. Was it round 2 or 3? at Suncorp again. That's ground's no good for me up
Far
there.
out.
It's no good for me up there.
Lucky you never stayed in
Oh
Queensland.
God, yeah, I know that's
Your
it.
career would have ended early.
So feeling good. Had the cerebral bang, shoulder out again. Just after having a full reconstruction. So I got tested mentally there. You know, when I thought I was flying, I thought everything was good, and I thought, yeah, if I don't go over to the UK now in front of my grandparents and all the rest of it, there might not be an opportunity. And basically, that was the reason I sort of decided to go over there.
I remember 2018 because you were playing really well that season.
Yeah.
And then you got those injuries, and then you got another injury. And, you know, because I love rugby league, I remember it now because it was almost like your career was ending here.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you could, like, as a spectator,
Yeah.
you could see this was like, mate, this guy had a stellar season 2018, had the bad luck.
Yeah.
But now it looks like the
Yeah.
bad luck's following him now.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And then going in England, what's the mindset like? Like, you've had these injuries. Was it like, I'm going to do well there? Am I going there to retire? You know, obviously, you know, most people, they go towards the latter end of their career. Or was it to go there and go, you know what, I'm going to make a difference to Warrington. I'm going to make a difference, you know, where I'm going to play next.
Yeah, look, a bit of both, really. Like I said, I had 3 young kids as well. The experience of going over to the UK, showing them my family heritage, if you like, being around their great-grandparents, my grandparents, getting to live out a childhood dream of playing in the Super League. Still think I had plenty to offer. And to finish my career sort of over there, then, you know, to then return back to Australia 2 years later. Unfortunately, moved there, and within 2 months, COVID hit.
Yeah, wow.
So that was challenging. You know, the middle of winter over in the UK. You can imagine. Yeah. So we'd literally been there 2 or 3 months, pitch black, freezing cold, and the world got shut down. The country got shut down, and unfortunately, just what I envisioned seeing of going over and enjoying myself and playing and doing well just completely went disaster.
Pear-shaped.
Yeah, pear-shaped.
How hard was that? Like, you know, like rugby league's such a team sport, and you're not going to have fans at the stadiums, and you know, your childhood dream of going there, and it's not the way you thought it was going to pan out. In England, we know it's cold and it gets dark early in the winters.
Yeah.
How hard was that for the other players as well as you? Like, what was going through your mind? Because, like, in on this podcast, I always talk about overcoming adversity, going through walls. But it's not easy when you're on your own and you're isolated, right? Because we thrive in communities, we thrive in teams. How challenging was that? Because you had this perception of going back, this dream.
Yeah, it was tough. Like I said, you do have to go through adversity. But you have no choice. You know, when I'm coming through like I said, the system at Melbourne, you've got to find a way. You get tested. Sometimes it can be really tough. But I just had to find a way. You know, I had adversity off the field as well at the same time, going through a separation, which was super difficult. But as you say, you've got to feel comfortable being uncomfortable, and you've got to meet these challenges head on. And, you know, being cooped up in a house in the middle of England in winter, especially when I just moved over there and I wanted to, you know, give my everything to Warrington, the club I'd obviously signed for, and to not be able to do that was super frustrating. It was tough. One of the toughest periods I've been through. Look, I've been through a lot of injuries, and not a lot of injuries, but some severe injuries. Managed to come back, but, you know, through discipline and hard work, which has been instilled in me since I was a young kid. But yeah, that COVID period over there, especially would just come from Australia to the UK. That tested me mentally. Put it that way.
Yeah, it would be hard. Like in any team environment. I mean, my COVID tested me. Like in this business, but, you know, when you're playing in a team environment, you've got to perform each week, and you're isolated and you can't do the things that are necessary for a great organisation to prosper. It becomes extremely hard. So obviously you're in Warrington, then you move to to Castleford.
Yeah.
Why the change? Why the move? What happened at Warrington towards the end? Was it just time to go?
Yeah, look, I love my time at Warrington. Like it's such a good club, and I had a lot of friends there. Like I mentioned before, a bit of adversity, some personal issues away from the game of rugby, which have been ongoing while I was over in the UK. So my time at Warrington just had come to an end. We had a new coach come in. And Castleford was a lot closer to home. Give me an opportunity to go there for a year. And it was just the decision I made in that current situation with the things I was dealing with in my personal life. It just felt like we're closer to home. It was the right move, and I really enjoyed it at Cast. Like I said, I had a fair few Aussies there, which was good. And then after that, obviously finishing up, it would have been nice because Big Sammy Burgess is now coaching Warrington, isn't it?
Yeah,
so,
wow.
It'd have been nice if he'd have been there a year earlier. But yeah, look, I don't have any regrets. You make a decision, you've got to own them, and like I said, finished up at Cass, which was good.
Yeah, and I have to mention this. Obviously, I met you through Jake and Trent, and you're doing a lot of great things in the schools here with Free Yourself with Freeze Yourself.
Yeah.
Obviously, that stems back from. Sorry for this cough. I got something started. Should have bottle of water with me. But anyway, it's amazing. Like you come back, and the rugby league's giving you something now, with the boys.
Yeah.
From the club that you played at St. George. What's that like, having these relationships where you can go, you know what, this is the next part of my life now. Now that you're retired, I know you're going to play in Dubai. In the Nines tournament, right?
Yeah, in the Sevens,
Sevens.
Yeah.
What's that like, being able to have this purpose now and work towards helping people? How's that feel for you?
It's huge. Like I said, when you come to the back end of your career and, for myself, like I said, dealing with issues away from the field and probably losing a purpose, if you like. Being able to give back now and find a purpose and a reason. And, we did a school visit the other day, and to be able to give back and put a smile on kids' faces and just give back to the community who have done a lot for us. It's nice, and it's pretty humbling, and I enjoy doing it, and it's been good to be able to get back to Australia and obviously see the boys. And we've been through a lot of stuff in our lives, football career, and if we can go out and help in any way, shape and form, no matter who you are, that's what we're here to do.
Sorry about that. But how did it start? Was it Trent? Obviously, like Trent Merriam was going through things, and he started Freeze Yourself.
Yeah.
It's amazing how you guys have been able to get together.
Yeah.
And work on this, because it's something of value.
Yeah.
It's the Lost Boys. You were here last week.
Yeah.
I was watching it. I was in Vegas. I was watching you guys in the gym. And, mate, I was excited because I'm going, this looks awesome, like you got grounding, you got meditation, you got cold baths. You were talking about your experience. How important is that? And obviously you took a lot away from rugby league.
Yeah.
You looked at, they're doing this really well, but they could do this better. And I've been around you boys for a while now to understand that.
Yeah.
How important is it having something like you guys have helped create, and supported each other with. And, when you look back at your time in rugby league, would it have been good to have something like that for you guys?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think, we've always been good mates. I've obviously been in the UK for the last couple of years, and the boys back here in Sydney, like you just mentioned before, obviously Trent dealt with a couple of things as well, and Jake in a different way. So we just started a conversation. I think it was last year, the year before, when I'd come back home, and I try to come back every year, and it was just something that we've been exposed to, I suppose, cold water therapy for our football career. And we thought, how could we help in the in the corporate world or in business? And for me, on a personal note, it's helped me get up in the morning, be accountable. You know, I've become a bit lazy sometimes. You know, you got to feel comfortable being uncomfortable, as I keep saying, and it's helped me. You know, I'm with the boys now up every morning, 6 o'clock, getting asked, do I want to do it? Probably not. It's freezing cold, but it certainly helped me. You know, when I've lost my way a little bit over the last couple of months, dealing with certain situations, you become a bit sloppy, don't you? And you make poor choices, and for me to be able to get up and do that, and it helps obviously being back around the boys, getting up in the morning, it kick-starts my day and it gets me going. I know I've done something productive in the morning and I've achieved something. But it's great, like I said, we went to the school the other day, and it's good to see these people, you know, testing themselves, and we did the business event here obviously the other Sunday, which was really good, and hopefully we can keep pushing it and people can get involved, and it's going really well.
What I love about you guys, and you know, obviously I've been around Jake and Trent a lot more. You know, I speak to them a fair bit every week. And what I love about it is that you know, there's this motivation, like probably there was, you know, when you guys played rugby league, like, mate, we're getting out there, mates. We want to get the message out there. We want to do this. We want to go for it. Pretty much the same mentality as like playing rugby league every weekend, right? Because you're playing for that one game. But now you guys are like playing for the season. Like you're playing for the season. Come on, guys. We've got to get our message out there. We've got to do these workshops. We've got to teach people how to overcome, be resilient, overcome challenges. We've gone through it a lot ourselves. How important is it for people to go to people like yourselves that have been through so many challenges? Because you're not going to go to someone that's never been through a challenge that's telling you how to overcome a challenge, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's it's a good point. Like I said, we've all been through it, and you've got to learn, become resilient. And I think the way we put the programs and things together is a great way of coming in and putting yourself through these challenges, to give you a bit of reminder you can get through tough periods. It takes some bloody hard work and a mental capacity to do it, but you know, we've all been through our own issues, and this is just a way of putting these programs, helping people. We want to help people. You know, I've seen so many I've been through it. I've seen so many friends out there have gone down the wrong path or done the wrong thing, and I probably make poor choices as well. But to be a part of this and to help people and be positive, and you can get through the shit times. It's something that I want to be a part of, and I want to help, because I know what it feels like to feel like shit and go through the tough times. So, like I said, the boys have been doing an amazing job over the last year, pushing it out there, and you know, hopefully we can continue, because we're doing some good things in the community.
How do you feel about Jake coming to Thailand and you guys aren't going to be there?
I know, what a shit house. What a shit house, didn't even invite me.
We're going tomorrow. I'm going to get him, mate. He's not going to know what hit him. You know what I'm like, eh?
Yeah, please give it to him. He's been giving me shit.
You know what I'm like when I'm overseas, bro. I go for it, bro. We were just in Vegas, and what was those 3 days like? Non-stop. You were going all out, and then you just went bang. Fucking straight to the pizzas. Because when I'm in that mode, bro,
no stopping you.
You know, just like my mind's just ticking fast. I'm going, all right, we're going to do this next. We're going to do that next. We're going to do this. But the good thing is, like, and this is the cool thing, because next year I can see all your boys there. I can see all of us there training, talking about, you know, all the things that we care about, like making men better. Making men stronger. You know, like I said to you before, you know, I've got a good group of guys going. I've got one more guy that wants to come. It's funny. I've had all these people that I've heard all these other people going, mate, why didn't we know about it? Which is cool, because I didn't have much time to get Thailand. And I literally had 7 weeks with all the work that I had to do. From the time I said we're doing Thailand, it was 7 weeks. And so, but the premise of the whole thing is, like, you know, Jake's going to come. I know next year you guys are going to come, and we're going to have such a good time training, eating well, and just leveling up in every part of our lives. You know, from our training to our business to our collaborations. But I wanted to, like, make everything that I do, like, bring the people together. It's almost like, hey, we're a team. And we're going to train like this all season for these events so we can help more people. And I think, you know, we need that type of community, especially after you guys play sport, like to be going, mate, what's this next thing that's going to challenge us?
Yeah.
How hard is that transition for a lot of football players? Because I ask a lot of them, how hard is that? Because I was here with Remus Smith a few weeks ago, and he's building a business while he's still playing. How important is having something like what you guys are doing, like with Trent and Jake, giving people the ability to go, hey, if you come with us, we're doing all these things because we're going to give you life after rugby league.
Oh, it's huge. It's a lesson I've certainly learned is, like I said, Remus is doing obviously good things there before he obviously retires and finishes up. But yeah, it's super important to, rugby league's only a small fraction of our life. For a lot of footballers, I think the average game is 50 games. So let's say 10 years, it's nothing compared to the rest of your life. So it's super important whichever avenue you decide to go down. But you need to be certainly involved in things away from the game of rugby league, and freeze yourself has been huge for all three of us really. To keep us involved in the space of helping people, like I said, helping men, and it's certainly one thing I wish if I was a younger me would have probably implemented when I was a little bit younger, and I think that's something hopefully we can sort of pass the message on to go out there and spread your wings. And rugby league is obviously, we all love the game of sport, but there's more to life than just a game of rugby league, and I think it's super important for any young kid now that they've got different options and avenues to go down, because before you know it, your career's over, and you see a lot of people stuck going, where to next. So with Freeze Yourself, we're very lucky, and I think we're doing good things for the people and community, and hopefully we can keep pushing on with it.
Yeah, and you're getting the message out there. Like you guys are working hard, man. I was talking to you guys the other day. I go, we just come from. It was like you've done like 100 Ks round robin trip, and what I love about it is how committed you guys are to the cause, and that's why I love helping you guys and working with you guys, because I love your message. You know what I mean? I love your message, but I love the way you guys are going about your business. Obviously, it's a big thing for rugby league players in the next phase. How excited does that make you to be able to help the youngsters, the young players coming through, and doing what you guys are doing?
Yeah, super exciting.
Because you got the experience to tell these young guys.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a hell of a lot of experience between all of us, and to be able to help these guys is something that we want to do. Like you touched on before, we've done. I've never driven as far in my life. Jesus Christ, I forgot how big Australia was actually, but things in life don't come easy. You've got to work for them, and we've all got a good work ethic, and that's the way to go. That's how business works. And like I said, nothing comes easy. You've got to do it. You've got to get out there, be resilient with it, and just keep pushing through it. So it's been tough, but it's been good. If you want the reward, you've got to do it. It's simple as that. But to be able to give back and get the message out to these kids who are now coming through to, these other opportunities out there than just rugby league. It's something that is important. And, we will reap the rewards when we see someone step away from rugby and go down a different avenue. It'll be nice to see. And
obviously, it was a couple of weeks ago, but it was your first time here at Titan Fitness. What was that whole experience like, utilising the space?
Yeah, it was good. I'm pretty sure I came back. I'm pretty sure we trained here in 2017 for England from the World Cup.
Wayne Bennett, right?
Yeah, Wayne Bennett.
That's right.
I knew when the boys said we're coming up to Titan, I thought, and then we pulled off. I've been here before, and then we tried to figure it out, because we did a little bit of a session on the field over there. So, but that was 2017. But yeah, it was.
You remember it now? Wayne Bennett. Wayne Bennett was the coach.
Yeah, he was the coach. Yeah, so I don't think we trained here. I think when we were staying in obviously because we're all over Australia that year. But I do remember coming here. But yeah, no, it was good coming up and doing the event last Sunday or whatever it was. It was a good turnout. It was great, and it's obviously a great gym. Looking over the beach, can't beat it. Yeah, a bit better than looking over Scarborough Beach back in the UK. I'll tell you that.
And so, what's next for you? You're off to Dubai for the Sevens.
Yeah.
And, we were talking, I think, a couple of days ago. You said you're going to obviously be back in England, but your goal is to come back here. I guess your grandparents are old, and you want to stay there as long as you can and be with them, right?
I've got pretty busy back end of the year, to be honest. For an organisation playing in the Dubai Sevens, called World 100 Legends. A lot of ex-rugby union players who played at the highest level, and worked for an organisation raising money and going around schools, similar stuff, giving back. So I've got that at the end of the year, which will be pretty cool, pretty fun, and then return to the UK. And obviously, we freeze yourself. You know, we want to spread our wings and we want to be out there. So I'll go back and do my work on that side of things out there. It's the opportunities over there, and at the minute, that's where we're at with it. Like I said, I had a fair.
So
bit
you're pushing that over in England too?
Yeah, eventually.
Cool,
eventually. Like a couple of footballers I've obviously played with who they're doing pretty good things over there now. So being over there, there's no reason why.
You can't.
Myself being from over there in the UK, so that's the goal at the minute, mate. That's the sort of plan. I've still got another couple of weeks hanging around with these two lunatics. So other than that, mate, I'm busy up until pretty much Christmas. Yeah.
Well, Gareth, man, I just want to thank you for coming today. You've had such an amazing career. Work with some of the best organisations. One being Melbourne, and you've now taken what you learnt in these organisations, gone through the challenges in your own life. Now to give back and work with the boys with Freeze Yourself, which I think is terrific. But you aren't just doing that. You're then creating a platform to help people find the right career, to find the right managers, and to be able to talk to you guys if they've got areas in their life they're struggling with. They've now got a platform to go to, which is huge because, the rugby league does their own thing, but you guys are very dynamic in the way you're doing things. It's different. It's different from what I've seen, and it's absolutely a credit to you guys. That you have been able to come from that St. George district there, as shit as the team was.
It was, shit team, a good
terrible
time.
Thanks to your injuries, but no, I'm only joking. But you think this would come from Melbourne, but it's come from St. George. And like I was saying to the boys, there's something in the waters in Wollongong. Okay, for a place that isn't a big population, there's some great things that come out of it, great athletes and great individuals that come out of Wollongong. So, but I just want to thank you. It's a credit to you and to the boys for what you guys are doing. And I'm just happy to know you and meet you and know that we're going to be doing a lot more together.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thanks for having me on. But it's like I said, it's.
And we're going to get your diet right. We're going to get your diet done. We're
going to get the diet. Big fellas, put a bit of timber on the big fella. Too many Yorkshire puddings the last couple of months. So no, thanks for having me on, mate. Yeah, like I said, we're doing some good things, and it's good to be working alongside yourself. And if we could just keep pushing the narrative and go out and help people, that's what we're here for.
Mate, we're going to be doing heaps of content for Freeze Yourself in Thailand, so it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. Thanks, brother.
Cheers, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.